Talking Golf on TPC Wisconsin is on the air. Brought to you by American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Oak Park Place, offering senior living options with the lifestyle you deserve with amenities and services for a carefree, independent way of life. Wild Rock Golf Club. From 5 sets of tees and expansive greens, it's a course set up to embrace a challenge for scratch golfers to resort guests. Also by Zimbrick European. Why drive something ordinary when you can drive something extraordinary? University Ridge Golf Course, a public course that offers something for players of every ability and is the home of the Badgers men's and women's golf team. And by the Alzheimer's Association. Now here are your co-hosts for Talking Golf on TPC Wisconsin, Dennis Tiziani, who's a member of the Wisconsin Golf Hall of Fame, and longtime Madison sportscaster Paul Braun.
Welcome to another round of Talking Golf on the Golf Effect Radio Network from TPC Wisconsin in Madison, along with Dennis Tiziani, Dave McCann. I'm Paul Braun, another edition of Talking Golf, and got a special guest with us, Tiz, a guy that you've gotten to know, Steve Wenzloff. Steve is a design services representative for the PGA. Did I say that right?
Close.
Close enough?
Yes.
Close enough for government work, huh, Steve? And Steve has been involved in this business. How many years? 20, 30 years, Steve?
25 years with the PGA Tour and 30 years in the industry.
Wow. So you basically design golf courses all over the world. Just give us a brief recap of some of the things you've done, Steve.
Sure. Early on in my career, I got into golf course construction and actually worked with the contractor that's currently doing part of the work here at TPC Wisconsin, Wadsworth Golf, and worked around the southeastern part of the United States with them for a while, and then ultimately got hooked up with D.A. Weibring and did a design-build golf course for him out in Dallas, Texas. And at that time, he was getting involved with the TPC Deer Run over in Silva, Illinois, where the tour is playing this week, and got connected with the tour and been there 25 years since, and focusing basically on working through liaison aspects between an owner, an architect, and a player consultant on golf course design for the TPCs in the early part of my career.
What are some of the few ones that really stand out for you that you've been involved with that maybe golfers could relate to?
Well, I mean, you've got the early part of my career, I got involved with the TPC Twin Cities that has hosted the PGA Tour champions for nearly 20 years before now transitioning to be the 3M Open for on the PGA Tour. And that's a site that had a lot of different or similar intricacies to this project here at TPC Wisconsin. But throughout my career, many different TPCs, from new ones to just doing capital projects on the existing ones, and ultimately transitioning into having a lot of insight working with course architects on many of the PGA Tour venues around the world that we play.
Dennis, where's the connection? Where did it all start for you guys? Where did you hook up and get involved here?
Well, that's a good question. Can you hear me? Okay. You know, TPC was a happening. Happening meaning that, Steve Stricker being involved on this deal here, they were interested in doing it. And then we were very fortunate to get the lead guy here. Now, he has some backup, obviously, but, what he's been able to do, and not direct answer, but is to take what we have here and we'll flip it. That's what we called it. We flipped it. We flipped it to get the sand topping that we wanted to get. And when he brought up in Minnesota that course there, they did that there. So I was lucky, and I've got somebody who knew what's going on, because if we had to buy the sand to put on here, we wouldn't be able to do it. So we were able to go ahead to use what we have through his experience, which if that wouldn't have happened, it wouldn't have happened, to be able to get the raising of these fairways 2 to 4 feet, and then to put the sand topping on, because there's not a lot of courses that have sand topping. I mean, when we get done with this, it's firm already. I mean, I've driven on it, that you're going to have firm fairways, different than Cherokee fairways, okay?
The ones that we used to go.
yeah, that's right. That'll be gone. And drainage is perfect. I mean, so that when water runs off these fairways now, it runs into a central drainage system and out. It's not going to be gathering in places it shouldn't be, gathering close to our real estate people on the side. All that's been taken care of. So we were really lucky to get somebody that, is not a mirror image, but certainly very much like what it has up there, that we were able to get this all done. But then get to a point of perfect. When you take a look at what's out there now, the sand topping, I go out there and I see the tournament tees. Okay, so in case we have a tournament here, there's tournament tees. So really what he constructed, is a tournament course that happens to have a membership. Different than a membership or a member club who now has to redo and get ready for this is it, so it's perfect. So we got lucky in finding somebody who did that, and they then took the ball and got it done. I really haven't done anything but pay the bills, and, that's really what happened. But
it's an important part.
From his standpoint, Steve, it's, and I go out there. I went out there yesterday 2 times with 2 members, and it's kind of perfect. I mean, the guy asked me, what holes are your signature holes?
All of them.
That's right. That's what I had to tell him. I said, they're all that way. I mean, I don't know. I can't pick one out. But in direct answer your question, TPC, through Steve and getting the golf course, the environmental part to start with, and then taking it to this part, now we wound up with something that environmentally is sound as it could possibly be, and it's very cool.
Well, we're going to get into the specifics of exactly what's going on here. We're going to take a break and come back and break it all down and talk about the different aspects of this project. We'll be back on TPC Wisconsin after this timeout on the Golf Effect Radio Network.
When it's time for an adventure on the open highway, one quick call to American Family Insurance gets you headed in the right direction. Our travel peace of mind package is there if you encounter a bump in the road. From roadside assistance to rental car coverage, we have you covered. Find a local agent or get a quote at amfam.com.
American Family Insurance.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
After 60 years, Cherokee Country Club is now officially known as TPC Wisconsin. Right now, the course and the clubhouse are going through an extensive renovation. When the project is complete, TPC Wisconsin will have a course, club, facilities, and services that'll be second to none in the Badger State. Members will not only have a challenging experience playing the course, but they'll enjoy fine dining experiences and award-winning golf instruction. For more information on becoming a member at TPC Wisconsin, call 608-249-1000. That's 608-249-1000.
This is Paul Braun for Oak Park Place. Oak Park Place Memory Care Communities provide seniors and their loved ones peace of mind. Residents find purpose in their day through a success-oriented program focused on meeting residents where they're at on this journey with Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia. At Oak Park Place, loved ones find comfort and connection through caregiver support groups. Oak Park Place Senior Living with locations throughout Wisconsin. Visit oakparkplace.com to learn more.
Wild Rock Golf Club in the Wisconsin Dells, a Herdston Fry masterpiece, is one of the premier golf destinations in the Midwest. Wild Rock provides a true test of your skill, combined with some of the most stunning vistas you're ever going to encounter on a Wisconsin golf course. Download the new free Wild Rock app. It's a true game changer and lets you stay up to date and receive special promotions regarding all things Wild Rock. Bring your A-game, folks. The Rock is waiting for you. Visit wildrockgolf.com. wildrockgolf.com.
Hi, this is Matt LePay, voice of Badgers football and basketball. At this very moment, there are more than 198,000 individuals in Wisconsin serving as caregivers for a loved one living with dementia. Connect them to support through the Alzheimer's Association's 24/7 helpline. One call, thousands of answers, all free of charge. Call 800-272-3900 today. This message made possible through the generous support of Oak Park Place.
We're back on Talking Golf on the Golf Effect Radio Network from TPC Wisconsin, along with Dennis Tiziani, Dave McCann. I'm Paul Brown, and Steve Wenzloff is with us, as Tiz would describe him, a big shot from the PGA Tour, huh?
No, I'll laugh.
Steve is involved with the design services and player liaison work in the development and redesign, so to speak, of golf courses. Be curious, Steve, when you first got here, your first look, what'd you think?
Oh, boy, here we go. You better be good on this one.
That it was a golf course overdue for a renovation. It was, you could tell it was tired. I mean, it was built in the mid to late 1960s, and for all intents and purposes, after understanding the nuances of the golf course, hadn't really received a lot of renovation work prior to that point. Since that point, and you could see through time the effects of that and other things that were not in the control of, at the time, Cherokee Country Club, that had a detrimental effect on the golf course, such as the groundwater and how the surrounding areas, groundwater-wise, has risen, and that incremental change, as this golf course is a low, flat golf course at the time, had definitely negative effects from that rise in groundwater, and the soil would just stay saturated through the season. Sometimes it'd dry out as you go through a little bit of your droughts, and then the soil would crack as you go through that period of time. And then you go through the winter and gets wet, gets saturated, freezes, capitulates as the ground normally freezes, and goes through its heave thaw as you go back out of the spring. And you can see the effects of that. And there were just holes, there were landforms that weren't supposed to be there just from that effect, and some of the surrounding vegetation, had been overgrown, and it was time.
I don't mean it in a negative sense. When you took a look at that give you a reason to pause and think, wait a minute here, can this really be done? I mean,
for sure, especially with the goal and objective that he had set out to be, which was to be a TPC and to ultimately host a tournament. There's a lot of other things that go into that aspect that we had to really seriously look at and consider, and figure out, can it be done? And it took us a period of time throughout our permitting process to still figure out, could it be done? And as I've developed a term on this project that I use a lot, it's from a famous line from one of the Friends episodes, which is pivot. The famous scene when they're in the hallway trying to move their furniture around and pivot to get the furniture up the stairwell. And we've just had to do a lot of pivoting on this golf course to get us to where we are today.
Some take twos, huh, Dennis?
Well, he hit it right on the head. It was just getting old, and we had to make a decision there too. We move ahead because growing this was going to be difficult to do. And we did some stuff like some raising of the fairways way back when, and did it kind of not right, where the water drained on the side. But now you take a look at what's out there and where the drains are and how this works, it all fits together. And they've done a magnificent job here. And with Steve, we hired the best people too. Wadsworth, I think, was doing a great job. And Leibold, doing a really good job. And we were a little bit lucky in getting somebody like Houston to move this kind of dirt, this amount of dirt, and get it in such a fashion. So it's a coordinated effect. Then you go on the other side, as he mentioned, with DNR, and now you've got lawyers involved, and now we got environmentalists involved, and we've got engineers involved. So the team that we put together really did the job.
Let me ask you a question. Did you have to modify? You and Steve had a vision of what you hoped this looked like. Did you have to modify your vision based on when you started to put that plan together?
Yeah, modified it in a different way, though. Modified it up. It just got better than what we thought. And, of course, he did it, Steve did it, Wenzloff did it, by the book, but also creativity-wise. And then we add in Steve, who has a different kind of perspective of his
from a player's point
of view, and all of a sudden we wound up with, wow, another little tweak to the best. And we've had some people that I've taken out to go around, and they're members. They were members, and they're members again now. Just can't believe what it looks like.
It's a wow factor.
There's no question it's a wow factor. And I look at the forward tees, how it's going to be catering to the forward tee players, whether they be women or whether they be seniors who are going to be able to get to that place where we can make the shot to go into the greens. It's a cut above. I don't know where I could take you. I understand Century World now is pretty good, that they've done a real good job there. So I can know where I can take you, where it has a golf course that's a tour course, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, through their creativity, members can play it. It's really cool.
We're chatting with Steve Wenzloff, and Steve, what I've watched over the time since you guys have been involved in the redevelopment has started, the planning process that must take place and what you guys go through with a project like this has got to be phenomenal and very interesting. I used to see, for an example, somebody'd come and dump some sand over here. And about 4 minutes later, someone's coming to pick it up and moving it over there and that kind of thing. And you wonder, how in the hell is that all being coordinated?
Right.
Can you give a perspective of just a concept of all the planning that's gone into this?
Sure. I mean, it took a year and a half probably of planning, from the permitting and engineering phase all the way to the time we ultimately bid this thing out to the contractors, and ultimately then received our permits and finally got this thing underway. Early this year in January. It was it is a lot of coordination, especially on a site like this that's low to the groundwater, that the soil isn't that good, isn't that conducive, and we had the plan to put in place on how to make it that way. But you got to be able to move the dirt, and we were, as Dennis alluded to, we basically flipped this site to where there was a great vein of glacier sand underneath the peat and organic clays that are at the surface, and we basically had to flip it. And to do that, though, we had to take these large earthwork trucks and be able to move them around this site and figure out how and when to do it. Well, we all decided with the consultation of our civil contractor that the best time to do it is when the ground's frozen.
You got lucky there, didn't you guys?
Yeah, we did a little bit. Got unlucky for a couple of weeks, put us behind a little bit, but they picked it up again. But it'd be too much to sit down to tell somebody all the things that went on. The team that we had, and I give the DNR credit here, a lot of credit, in that they were able to sit and listen to reason of how this would work and make it a better environmental place. That's really what it is. When you take a look at what was here and now what's here now and what's proposed, there's no way that DNR, Friends of Cherokee Marsh, those people here have any clue of how much transition that we did for clarity of water and invasive species and all that sort of stuff. I mean, phenomenal.
From your perspective, an outsider coming in and what Dennis is talking about and that kind of thing, can you put into perspective or words the difference that this is going to make in your mind when you've been doing this stuff for 20, 30 years? Is there a way to say, hey, look, this is really the bottom line of what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to part of Dennis's early vision here, which was he wanted to be a good steward of the land here, and he had already done certain things, in earlier iterations of development around here to towards that goal and objective. And where we're at right now is sort of the icing on the cake to finish us there, which was, hey, let's restore the wetlands that we have here. Yes, there's a site is surrounded by wetlands, but that's the attribute of this property. The whole Cherokee Marsh that surrounds it, the Yahara River, and Lake Mendota. That's all part of the the site elements of it, even though they're not necessarily directly on it. Some of them are abutting the site, but that's part of this site, and that's the nuances. And let's embrace it. And this golf course, the wetland areas were overtaken by invasive species, and what we're doing here is basically taking all the wetlands and we're going to restore them through a whole significant restoration process.
Dennis, you used the term the endangered species are going to be gone. What does that mean in the finished product? What?
Well, cattails and those types of species are going to be gone, and they're going to be replaced by flowering things that are belong in the marsh. And we went ahead and we used to have 303 sprinkler heads here, okay, to do this. Now
1800 or whatever?
Now it's 1,800. The reason for that is these plants that we're planting need to be watered and kept that way. And so when anyone, members, you come around and walk here, it'll be like a real walk in the park. my opinion, that you won't be able to see some of the things that you'll have. In fact, when you hit your ball in that, now we're not going to let you get your ball out, so you got to leave it in there.
The ponds will be 18 feet deep. You're not going to go want to look for it, right?
That's right.
You better have some scooper gear. If you're
watch that last step. It's a doozy.
It's really cool. But being in an area, now I've been here for a while, 50 years or so, and be able to experience, I live in this marsh. Steve lives in this marsh. So being a little bit selfish, I want to make sure that it's not just a marsh. It's the way it should be, not taken over by time where the marsh, because if you left the golf course go, and I've left a lot of them go, it'd go back and be the same as that marsh, But we're able to go ahead to improve it, and people be able to enjoy it. You watch and see the people that are walking up and down this road, even now, that are looking at this, and it's very cool. No question.
I say this facetiously, but those 1,800 sprinkler heads, I can imagine the ground superintendent going, let's see, the 10th side of the 10th green needs to be watered. Press the button.
That is correct. And that's
exactly
the neat thing is, you look at the numbers, there's a lot more sprinkler heads. It doesn't mean we're watering more, though. It's a lot more efficient watering system than what was here before. The heads are spaced closer together, and you're able to specifically have a certain head water at a certain precipitation rate, and another one here where a fairway may need this amount of water, a green needs this amount of water, a rough needs that amount of water. You can have it programmed to where each area is getting the appropriate amount of water versus just overwatering certain areas to get the needs of one other spot.
So you save water in the long run.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, we talked about the planning process. How about the execution process? There's been different companies here. There's been all kinds of equipment, some pretty huge stuff running around here. Kind of talk about that aspect of this whole project.
Sure. There's 3 contractors ultimately make up the team that's here, and they're all from the region here. Some are local and some are just from outside the state. And you've got R.G. Houston, who's the civil contractor. And be honest with you, if it wasn't for them at this point, I'm not sure we'd be where we are at this point in this process, as they understand how to move dirt and understand how to move dirt on a site like this with the challenges that we had. And they put forth their best effort when we had the ground frozen to make use of that time. And we're on the final stages of finishing up the earthwork here and getting that done. And their part of the contract will be finished, and then we're transitioning to the other 2 contractors that are here, which is Wadsworth Golf Construction, based out of Chicago, and they're a nationally known golf course specialty contractor, and they're building the tees, building the greens, doing all the grassing work, and so they take it to that next level. And then we got Leibold Irrigation out of Iowa, one of the nationally recognized irrigation contractors, and they're right here following suit right now. Mainline irrigation's almost all finished, and we're starting to put laterals in and put our sprinkler heads in the fairways and around the greens.
Now, 2 things, Steve. Steve Wenzloff is with us. I would imagine in a project like this, there's probably changes, not only daily, but maybe hourly.
Right.
And some of those changes come from something that's flying in the sky and keeping track of everything that's going on. Huh?
It's that term pivot that I used before. Yes, we're constantly pivoting out here. And it's part of that is, look, working with, having the opportunity here to work with Steve Stricker here in his home course, creates that opportunity, and for he and I to exchange thoughts as we go through and how we conceptualize things, and then watch the details come together and massage those details to get the final product. And that's what you would want. You want that evolution versus just drawing a set of plans, turn it over to a contractor and say, here you go. We're constantly thinking about that finished product, and up until the point where seedlings hit the ground, grass seeds hit the ground, we're constantly making little adjustments here and there to fine-tune the finished product.
I would imagine there's been countless number of different suggestions and changes have been made from what it first started. Look at the smile on his face. He's had discussions about this, you guys, right?
Well, he handled it pretty good, though. I mean, you can listen to everybody, but my question now is what kind of experience do you have in giving us this suggestion? And with him, he can go ahead now and shape it around, so all of a sudden that suggestive person, even though they're good, he has to make it work. It's one thing to say, we want to put a bigger tee and closer over to here is all, but it all has to work, and we have guidelines that we have to work within with DNR that we're sensitive, very sensitive to. In fact, they've been out here now and been able to take a look at what's going on, and frankly had very little to say, which was great because the preparation was there that they don't have to do all that sort of. But he mentioned about, I got it to Dale Houston, he's their friend, and Brad. But when we brought him out here, he took a look at it. I says, there's 350,000 cubic yards of dirt to be moved. Oh, I could move that with my power mower, he says. I thought, whatever, we can move it with his power mower. But he's done it. It's cool.
We're going to talk a little more about some of the reconstruction of this, and then get some impressions about what your vision of what it was, what it could be, and how it's going, and we'll finish that up. We'll be back after this time out on the Golf Effect Radio Network.
Drew and Jonathan Scott here to tell you that American Family Insurance wants to protect your dreams. So whether you're at home singing in the shower,
Every note,
or prefer singing your heart out in the car like Drew,
cruising.
you can save up to 23% when you bundle your home and auto insurance with American Family Insurance. Get a quote or find an agent at amfam.com. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly.
Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Why drive an ordinary car when for the same monthly payment, you could be driving something extraordinary? Aaron Perkins, General Manager, Zimbrick European. Imagine yourself behind the wheel of a Mercedes-Benz, Audi, or Porsche. More safety, performance, and luxury, and way more fun. And getting more costs less than you think. Zimbrick European makes leasing affordable. Discover the value for yourself. Stop in and test drive a Mercedes-Benz, Audi, or Porsche today. Visit Zimbrick European and find out why leasing the car of your dreams makes so much sense.
Sculpted by glaciers and played by champions, University Ridge Golf Course is the host site of the American Family Insurance Championship and UW golf teams. The Ridge is a public golf course and it's yours to play without a costly membership. University Ridge is now accepting advanced reservations for the entire golf season. To get your prime tee time reserved, call 608-845-7700 or visit universityridge.com. Play where the Badgers and the pros play. University Ridge.
Oak Park Place offers seniors and their loved ones peace of mind by providing you the right balance of care centered around their lifestyles. Hi, this is Pat Richter for Oak Park Place. Choose a senior living community with neighbors that become like family. Enjoy the comforts of your apartment with an abundance of events just outside your door. Oak Park Place Senior Living with locations in Madison, Janesville, and Baraboo. Visit oakparkplace.com to learn more.
This is Gary D'Amato, senior writer for Killarney Golf Media and Wisconsin.golf. Visit Wisconsin.golf for the latest in golf news and feature stories about people, places, and tournaments in our state. And listen to Talking Golf on TPC Wisconsin to hear me spar with Dennis Tiziani. Wisconsin.golf and Talking Golf on the internet and on your radio dial. The voices of golf in Wisconsin.
Back at TPC Wisconsin on the Golf Effect Radio Network, along with Dennis Tiziani and Steve Wenzloff. I'm Paul Braun, and joining us now, Steve Stricker. And Steve, we've gone down the path with Steve in terms of planning, execution, design, philosophy, and all of those kind of things. I guess from your perspective of working with Steve and the vision that you had in terms of what eventually was going to be here, how's that whole transition and process gone for you guys in the development of this course?
It's been very interesting for me. This is my first time doing it, having a part or a say in what's going on out there. And it's been a lot of fun, probably costing Tiz some extra money along the way, but it's been a lot of fun. And Steve Wenzloff, he's guaranteed me that this is going to be the best TPC in the network.
Oh,
so,
well, there you go.
No pressure there.
No pressure.
Yeah, how can it be a bad thing, right?
He's smiling, but he's not saying anything,
No,
Steve.
it's all good. That's correct.
Seriously, when you look at this, Steve, in terms of the other TPC courses, we've talked to Steve about this, and that kind of thing. And to make that statement legitimately, what can you envision it being?
When I see it,
the other TV source.
Well, when I see it, what I look at is its potential to host a tournament, and that's the things that have gone into the planning of this golf course, and the details behind that really for us sort of emanate around green to tee relationships and ultimately around sort of the finishing golf holes from probably 14 all the way through 18. And initially, some of the changes that we made a few small routing changes, and that was to ultimately improve the green to tee walks. But also the way this golf course is routed, there's some great clusters of where greens and tees converge to where we created some spectator areas to where you can stand in one spot and see multiple golf shots, incoming shots, tee shots on several different golf holes, all from one vantage point. And that happens, there's several different vantage points where you have that same opportunity. And then taking in the planning stages of being able to accommodate spectators, to be able to accommodate corporate hospitality, build out, and have them, work around those finishing golf holes where a lot of the revenue is driven in those tournaments, and ultimately working towards the charitable donations on the back end of the tournament. That's the neat thing about seeing the potential for this golf course. And the routing, one other unique aspect of this routing is where we're sitting right now is there's several golf holes that interact with this clubhouse here, where you've got 1 tee, 10 tee, 15 green, 16 tee, 9 green, 18 green, all interact with the clubhouse. That's unique, and especially in the tournament golf world where you've got these different golf holes coming in and out of the clubhouse area.
I'd be curious of all three of you, and I'm going to start with you, Steve, because you've got to go here in a couple of minutes, and then follow with Dennis and Steve number 2 or Strick, I hope, and that type of thing. From what you first envisioned and what you saw and mentioned, you thought, wow, this is going to be a project, to the way it's transitioning to what it is and what you guys are all talking about. Are you even more excited about it now than you were initially in terms of what you can envision that finished product looking like?
Yes, as I walk around this golf course after 2-inch rain event and see what this golf course has been able to take even at this raw stage of construction, yes, knowing what likely the impact would have been on that 2-inch rain event prior to this point in time. So that is what left me a lot of sleepless nights up to this point in time, is making sure that the fundamentals behind what we're doing from an earthwork and drainage standpoint are going to function and work the way we intended. And at this point, I definitely see it that way.
And in terms of progress and finished product, of course, part of this is predicated on weather and whatever. Going ahead of schedule, and what do you see? Where are you guys at?
We're probably 4 weeks away from starting to grass this golf course, which is neat. And that window has definitely converged on us, and to see that light at the end of the tunnel, that we're 4 weeks away from getting this thing started with grassing wise, and hope to have it grassed, mid to late September completed wise, and use 2023 to get it grown in and ready for the membership. It's definitely the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, and seeing Steve's vision come to life on the details of it. I talked about the fundamentals of the functionality aspect, working with Steve Stricker on the details of the design, and seeing his vision come to life. Absolutely, it's pretty neat.
Steve, your vision and overall, how do you see it in comparison to when you first started looking at all of this?
Yeah, again, it's a new process for me, but it's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun. It's actually, it has me thinking a lot. I think about what's going out there all the time, and making sure that it's going to be a good challenge, but yet fair and playable for all levels of golfers. So, and that's the constant battle, I think, even with Steve Wenzloff. I mean, we got to make sure that, when we have a tournament here, that it's going to be, playable and challenging for pros. And then, vice versa, where you want it to be enjoyable and a great experience for all levels. And that's the balance of providing that challenge for every level, really. I mean, I think even a high handicapper wants to have that challenge. I would believe. I've talked to some of them. They enjoy playing hard, difficult golf courses, and sometimes, so I think, this isn't going to be so hard that it's going to be unplayable, but I think it'll be challenging. It'll be, generous off the tees, I think. And then for the most part, Cherokee has always had a lot of water, so you're going to have that component off the edge of the fairways a lot. But then up around the greens, there's some big greens, there's some small greens, there's a lot of chipping areas. So there's a lot of different variety of shots that Cherokee over the years has never seen. And now we're going to have that. So it's going to be unique to this area, something that we don't have in this area. I mean, it's going to be a modern style golf course, but with some old feel to it is what we're hoping. So I'm excited. And every time I go out there, it's further along, and it's even more exciting to see how it's progressing.
Steve, there's got to be, Steve Stricker, there's got to be one fun story between you two on taking a look at the drone coverage and going, no, this should go, no, over there. There's got to be one. You've probably had 100 of them, but is there one that you could share where we get a little chuckle here?
Well, there, I'm leaning on Steve Wenzloff a lot. Again, I'm so new to this. I mean, I feel like I have a nice idea of what looks good and aesthetically, pleasing to the eye. But what concerns me is the playability part, and making sure that it's playable and not too severe and not too easy. Cherokee over the years has been big, round, flat greens. Well, we don't want to do that, right? I mean, we want to provide a little bit of a challenge, but what's too much and what's too little? So, 16, the drivable par 4 right there by the clubhouse has got our attention. We want to make sure that hole is correct and spot on. So we spent a lot of time there recently just making sure the bunker situation is in the right spot, and the green complex is, you want people to be able to drive it and try to get it on the green. You don't want to force them to lay up on a drivable hole. So all those little things, all these little fine details that we're going into, which is a lot of fun. And like I said, I'm relying on him a lot to provide that feedback.
And I can sense the excitement in all three of your guys' voices. Seriously, Dennis, about this project coming to fruition, so to speak.
Well, no question. It's been a while planning, and then to see the results of the planning, that, wow, we are results orientated. I mean, if we don't get the result after doing what we're doing, then it's a failure. But it's a lot more for me than what I thought it would be. And the response from around the world to my emails of wanting to join and be a part of our facility, I think I told you last time there's 257 inquiries that we have for membership here in the last 2 months, just for golf. 554 for membership for golf, tennis, and pool. I mean, that's a lot. So, we're restricting it to 250 members so we can give a playability and service. We want accessibility, and that's what we want, service. So it's been everything we wanted to do from my end now on the sales end, because now we got to pay for it, And we've not chinched on anything. Everything we've done, from bridges to granite walks, it's all been perfect. So when you go around, it's if you look at it with that eye of where is it that we're short, haven't come to that yet.
Well, and we'll follow the progress. And Steve, thanks very much. Both Steves, thanks. Good luck this weekend, Steve. Down to Iowa, huh? For the John Deere?
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm kind of on the fence yet. I feel a little beat up yet, but we'll see. I don't know if I'll make that trip down there yet or not. I'm, the older I get, the more I want to rest.
Hey, Izzy did. One final thought: Izzy did pretty well yesterday, huh?
Yeah. She's impressing me more and more all the time. Both my girls are doing well, and golf is definitely in our family, and we're doing it daily. So it's been fun to watch them grow.
Very good. Thanks, Steve. And Steve Wenzloff, Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody's time. We'll be back after this time out on the Golf Effect Radio Network.
When it's time for an adventure on the open highway, one quick call to American Family Insurance gets you headed in the right direction. Our travel peace of mind package is there if you encounter a bump in the road. From roadside assistance to rental car coverage, we have you covered. Find a local agent or get a quote at amfam.com.
American Family Insurance.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
After 60 years, Cherokee Country Club is now officially known as TPC Wisconsin. Right now, the course and the clubhouse are going through an extensive renovation. When the project is complete, TPC Wisconsin will have a course, club, facilities, and services that'll be second to none in the Badger State. Members will not only have a challenging experience playing the course, but they'll enjoy fine dining experiences and award-winning golf instruction. For more information on becoming a member at TPC Wisconsin, call 608-249-1000. That's 608-249-1000.
Wild Rock Golf Club in the Wisconsin Dells, a Herdston Fry masterpiece, is one of the premier golf destinations in the Midwest. Wild Rock provides a true test of your skill, combined with some of the most stunning vistas you're ever going to encounter on a Wisconsin golf course. Download the new free Wild Rock app. It's a true game changer and lets you stay up to date and receive special promotions regarding all things Wild Rock. Bring your A game, folks. The Rock is waiting for you. Visit wildrockgolf.com. wildrockgolf.com.
Why drive an ordinary car when for the same monthly payment, you could be driving something extraordinary? Aaron Perkins, General Manager, Zimbrick European. Imagine yourself behind the wheel of a Mercedes-Benz, Audi, or Porsche. More safety, performance, and luxury, and way more fun. And getting more costs less than you think. Zimbrick European makes leasing affordable. Discover the value for yourself. Stop in and test drive a Mercedes-Benz, Audi, or Porsche today. Visit Zimbrick European and find out why leasing the car of your dreams makes so much sense.
Hi, this is Paul Braun, longtime Badger sportscaster. My wife was only 57 years old when she started having trouble remembering things at work and getting lost driving home. That was the start of a heartbreaking 8-year journey that led to her eventual passing from Alzheimer's. Please don't ignore the 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's. Find information at alz.org/Wisconsin. This message was made possible through the generous support of Oak Park Place Foundation.
We're back on Talking Golf on the Golf Effect Radio Network, along with Dennis Tiziani. I'm Paul Braun, and Tiz, with you, I want to continue the conversation a little bit about TPC Wisconsin. One of the things that I hear from people that live around here, everyone has obviously got an opinion and those kind of things. Some people are surprised by the number of trees that came down. Was it necessary to take out all of those trees, and if so, why?
Well, a good portion of those trees, half to 70% of them, already had the disease or were already dead or have the disease and it was coming. So there were a lot of trees that I planted 30 years ago. Yeah. So they've went their life 30 years for one of those trees, other than some of the oak trees, which we kept them all. So there were a lot of trees that we kept here that were valuable. Some of the others were not valuable. And but part of the plan is some of those are going to come back.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, are you going to plant some eventually?
Absolutely. We'll plant some more trees, but now there'll be more upland trees rather than, the trees that we had on here that were breaking off and windstorms and stuff like that. So there's going to be some more planting that's going to go on.
Would they be strategically placed?
Absolutely.
Based on the golf hole and that?
Golf hole visibility. There's some places that, from a green standpoint and a tee standpoint, that it'd be beneficial for us for noise and for visibility that we would put some trees in there.
Speaking of visibility, though, in comparison to what Cherokee has been, for an example, when you sit where we are right here in the upper Sequoia, you knew they were there, but you couldn't see the houses on the other side of the golf course.
Yeah.
You'll always have an open view, so to speak, right now, of the entire golf course?
Right, we will. But remember, 50 years ago when I came here, this is the way it looked.
Yeah.
It was just like this. We then tried to take a low course and make it into an upland course by planting trees. Well, the trees got pretty big and took up a lot of space. So all of a sudden it became a very narrow, very tight facility. And what they've done, they being the engineers here, did a lot with bunkers rather than with trees. And they staggered the bunkers, so even though it looks very wide open, and it is, you have to play between the bunkers just a little bit.
And as this course matures over the years, will it have a significant? It won't look significantly different in that kind of thing, right?
No, it'll just get better. And when you have a course that's sand topped, now you're controlling what you want for how hard it's going to be, and those fairways when you get done with this here, you'll be able to cut them. It'd be just like hitting off of a green if you wanted to. So the whole course manufactured like it should be, and also maintained is going to be the big item.
Does grass grow better in the sand than it would in dirt, and why is that?
Well, because root structure can go down. That's what you want to have, is a root structure,
okay.
right? And when it goes through sand, it's going to go down to where the water is, i.e. why we have sprinkling system at various places so that we can control the type of grass, because it's bent grass in the fairways, it's bluegrass in the roughs. But then you have the flowers. All take different types and amounts of sand, and we're able to control that now with the system that's here.
When do you get rid of the endangered species and plant those flowers and that kind of stuff?
Well, we did it once. Now they're growing back in again. So we'll get to that now. But we won't put that stuff in until we can water them. And that's what's coming up. So you come here and look at this in middle of September, first part of October. Be beautiful, it's grass. We'll be cutting grass. Actually, we'll be cutting grass somewhere in the middle of September.
What are you thinking compared to when this all... I remember you saying day one, when they come in and start cutting trees, I can't watch that. You made that comment about...
I planted them all.
And that kind of thing, and now all of a sudden you're seeing this develop. Where's your mindset at?
Well, I knew that was going to be a transition for me, actually what was here, as it turned out, we tried and we did raise the fairways, and it became very playable. I mean, I didn't like when we had 2 inches of rain and then the water would run to the rough. I didn't, like they're doing it now. Water runs right to a drainage system and then out a central drainage system out. So I not only had the expertise but the financial capability at that time to do it. And so now every item on every hole, I mean, even the sand is what we call, it's a 900 sand. I mean, it's not the normal sand that you'd see in a sand trap. I mean, we went after, Jack Nicklaus, we know, and he had a different kind of a sand that was more of, it was kind of a fake deal. But then they changed, so we were able to go ahead to get the rationale of why they changed to add sand to it. And then when we built 2 traps so Steve could hit out of them and then make a decision on which one, we maintained the white sand, but now it has a real playability to it. So those are the little things. The halfway houses, Paul. I mean, you take a look at those. Now, they're not just a station that, you pick up. I mean, it is husband and wife, man and woman, and also then it's a watering system that's in there. It's a flush system. All those really good. We talked about the bridges and the stuff, but every one of those little things laid out perfectly. How we laid out this irrigation system. I mean, putting that pad in so it gets perfect in building that house and making sure the doorways are in the right place. The pumping system is totally different. I mean, it's state of the art, still sitting on the trailer waiting to be installed, but on and on it goes. And from my perspective, I even have to say wow when I go out there.
Sure,
I stood on the 12th tee yesterday, and you look down there, and now the water crosses the fairway, but that's where it crossed to begin with. Before, early on, they changed that, so now that's the lowest part of the course. So now it goes out perfectly, and I see fish in the ponds. I haven't seen fish for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Now they're there, so it's it's really cool to be able to see it and to be able to say, well, a year from now, I know it's going to be tour ready August 1st, okay, of 23. But that doesn't mean that our players won't be able to play in June or July. That's what I'm really counting on, if we can get that extra month of July to play. So a year from now, And 6 months of that year, we couldn't play anyway because of the weather, right?
Yeah.
Pretty
by
close.
the way, Steve Wenzloff had a story apparently, and I cut him off. He had to go, and talking about what the design with Steve, you were talking about there was a hole or something where hitting it into the wind. Could you relay that story?
Well, they looked at the hole and they know it's downwind.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, we can't have that, so we have to put this berm on the back so that it won't go over." But this is what Steve said every time he goes out there, it costs money for me to go to do it. We want this tee on number 11. Can the tee go a little bit further to the right and a little bit more towards 14 green? Well, that's now okay. We have to put aggregate along the side, and now it's fill and it's work like this. So I had to ask him, maybe you ought to stay out on that tour a little longer. Quit all this stuff, but it's really pretty good.
Overall, though, the project's going very well.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to try and switch gears here in a couple of minutes. Mason Schmidtke is going to join us on Talking Golf here in a couple of minutes, hopefully. Young man, 17 years old, from Sheboygan North High School. You got him, but you're saying you want to take the break, and we'll get him. All right, we'll be back after this timeout on the Golf Effect Radio Network.
Drew and Jonathan Scott here to tell you that American Family Insurance wants to protect your dreams. So whether you're at home singing in the shower,
Every note,
or prefer singing your heart out in the car like Drew,
cruising.
you can save up to 23% when you bundle your home and auto insurance with American Family Insurance. Get a quote or find an agent at amfam.com. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly.
Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Sculpted by glaciers and played by champions, University Ridge Golf Course is the host site of the American Family Insurance Championship and UW golf teams. The Ridge is a public golf course and it's yours to play without a costly membership. University Ridge is now accepting advanced reservations for the entire golf season. To get your prime tee time reserved, call 608-845-7700 or visit universityridge.com. Play where the Badgers and the pros play. University Ridge. This is Paul Braun for Oak Park Place. Oak Park Place Memory Care Communities provide seniors and their loved ones peace of mind. Residents find purpose in their day through a success-oriented program focused on meeting residents where they're at on this journey with Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia. At Oak Park Place, loved ones find comfort and connection through caregiver support groups. Oak Park Place Senior Living with locations throughout Wisconsin. Visit oakparkplace.com to learn more.
Why drive an ordinary car when for the same monthly payment, you could be driving something extraordinary? Aaron Perkins, General Manager, Zimbrick European. Imagine yourself behind the wheel of a Mercedes-Benz, Audi, or Porsche. More safety, performance, and luxury, and way more fun. And getting more costs less than you think. Zimbrick European makes leasing affordable. Discover the value for yourself. Stop in and test drive a Mercedes-Benz, Audi, or Porsche today. Visit Zimbrick European and find out why leasing the car of your dreams makes so much sense.
This is Gary D'Amato, Senior Writer for Killarney Golf Media and Wisconsin.golf. Visit Wisconsin.golf for the latest in golf news and feature stories about people, places, and tournaments in our state. And listen to Talking Golf on TPC Wisconsin to hear me spar with Dennis Tiziani. Wisconsin.golf and Talking Golf on the internet and on your radio dial. The voices of golf in Wisconsin.
And we're back on Talking Golf on the Golf Effect Radio Network from TPC, Wisconsin, along with Dennis Tiziani. I'm Paul Brown, and Mason Schmidtke is joining us. Mason, 17 years old, plays high school golf at Sheboygan North. Reportedly, Dennis, the first high school player ever to win the Ray Fisher Amateur Championship. Beat about 196 other guys to do it. Mason's on the line with us right now. Mason, congratulations. You've had a little time to reflect. What's your thoughts on that breakthrough victory?
Thank you. It was really just a fun event. I went in there with pretty low expectations because it was my first time ever playing in it. Just kind of felt comfortable the whole way through and got a couple more putts to drop than I was expecting, and overall went pretty good, I could say.
Yeah, and a little bit tight, especially on the final day. You birdie 14, you drain about a 50-footer on 15 to save par. You par from behind the green on 16, and you stuff it from about 90 yards to a foot on 17. It didn't sound like you got very nervous there as you were going down the stretch.
I just kept telling myself to stick to my game plan. I mean, looking at that field, any one of those guys on that back nine final day could have went 6-7 deep on that 9 holes. It was just a matter of if it was going to happen or not. So I just kept telling myself, stick to your game plan, and dropped in a couple putts, like you said, and made a good par save on 16, and ended up holding up for me.
What would you say the strength of your game is, Mason?
I'd say wedges and putting probably. I mean, that course is pretty short. Played to my strengths the whole week through for me. There's a lot of times when I hit wedge shots within 10, 15 feet and was able to make a putt. And that was kind of the game plan going in. I mean, I didn't need to get the ball to 2 inches, 3 feet. I didn't need to get it that close. Just give yourself an opportunity and try and keep the bogeys off the card. So in that way, the course definitely played to my strengths.
And you talked about in your interview with Gary D'Amato at Wisconsin.golf the philosophy, so to speak, of letting everything come to you, and the fact that going into that tournament you felt like your game was in tip-top shape. What does that mean?
It's just been tight the last few weeks. Been playing some really consistent golf. Consistency is something I like to kind of keep up. Like, you always got to be consistent, because that's what keeps you in any tournament, no matter where you're at. So I knew that with where my game was at, if I just kind of played my game and not worried about anyone else and just hit the shots I know I can hit, that I wasn't quite sure it would get me all the way to a victory, but I guess it was good enough to do so.
And you must come from a family of golfers. Your father is Tom, your brother is Max. He's playing at South Dakota and that kind of thing. Talk about that family influence and how important the game of golf has been to your family as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it was something our dad introduced both of us to when we were really young, and we just kind of took off with it. Can't really ever remember a time where our dad was kind of forcing us to go to the course or pushing us. It was always us kind of asking to go play. So in that regard, it was just something that we just fell in love with right away from an early on age, and just been that way our whole lives.
And you and your brother were looking at some of the names on that trophy, and you came across a guy named Steve Stricker, and reportedly you go, "Ooh, that's kind of neat, huh?" That is a special feel.
Yeah.
Dennis, in terms of a young man like this, with this kind of ability and that kind of thing, first let's ask Mason, where do you hope to take golf, Mason? What any future plans? Obviously, they're wide open, but what's your thinking now?
The ultimate dream is PGA Tour. Professional golf in some shape or form. I think both my brother and I can say without a doubt that even if that doesn't work out for us, we're going to be in the golfing industry some way. I don't think either of us will ever be able to give up the game we love.
And Dennis, for a young man like this, what advice would you give him in that type of thing?
Well, I like what he's doing. He's playing in tournaments and trying to be as good as he can be. I have a question. Who are you working with on a professional level?
I work with Brent Snyder Golf. He's based out of Hudson, which is a 5.5-hour drive for us. So we don't see him often, but we do pretty much everything over Instagram. So I'll shoot him a quick text and be like, "Hey, this is what I got. This is what I'm working with. What do you see?" And he usually gets back to me pretty quick, and that's big for me and big for both of us, my brother and I.
And that's a good thing. That's a good thing, to become your own best teacher. You listen to everybody. It's okay to listen to everybody and take out the common denominator that they're talking about, and you become your own best teacher. How about school? Are you
I'm not sure on schools yet. I got a couple offers from South Dakota, which is where my brother plays, and St. Thomas. Got some communication going with a couple other D1 schools, but going into it with kind of the same mindset that I went into the golf course with. If I keep playing my game, it'll all take care of itself. So I'm showing interest in the schools I'm going to.
Yeah.
But it'll happen when it happens.
And
that's good. Good thinking. Yeah.
Mason, we want to thank you very much for your time. Congratulations and continued success, and play well. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, bud. Good luck to you.
Schmidtke, 17 years old, from Sheboygan North High School. He won the Andy Fisher Amateur Championship recently. Tiz, we're out of time again. Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's going good. These are good informative programs for those people that want to listen, but most of all, it's fun for us, and you can tell that it's fun on the set here and people joining in on what we're doing.
For David McCann, Dennis Tiziani, I'm Paul Braun. Thank you for joining us. Hope you have a nice 4th of July. And from TPC Wisconsin and the Golf Effect Radio Network, thanks for joining us. We'll be back on the 11th of July with our next show.